Homer's Odyssey is a 3,000-year-old epic defined by angry gods, hypnotic sirens, and impossible mythical creatures. For decades, Hollywood has adapted these ancient myths by relying on massive green screens, rendering oceans of digital magic in post-production. Then you have Christopher Nolan, a filmmaker famously obsessed with physical realism, who will plant hundreds of acres of real corn or crash an actual Boeing 747 just to capture it in camera. So how does a director practically allergic to CGI execute a $250 million adaptation of a magical Greek epic? He stripped away the high fantasy. He shot a grueling survival horror film on the open water, proving that the oldest stories work best when they possess raw human weight rather than digital gloss. Nolan refused to use digital backdrops. He put his cast and crew on actual oceans and shot in grueling, remote physical environments. By capturing these massive landscapes on IMAX 70mm film, the extreme resolution and scale of the frame begin to erase the psychological boundary between you and the screen. To match that visual scale, composer Ludwig Göransson engineered a soundscape that literally shakes the floorboards of the theater. Instead of relying on modern orchestral synthesizers, his team physically reconstructed ancient instruments from the historical period to create an authentic, grounded score. When a wooden ship is caught in a storm, the brutal sound mixing forces you to feel the physical terror and the splintering weight of every single crashing wave. The combination of those massive physical film formats and that reconstructed ancient audio strips away your awareness that you are sitting in a theater. You are trapped on the boat with them. But that still leaves a major question. How do you put supernatural entities like witches or a giant cyclops on screen without leaning into traditional fantasy magic? You pivot to survival horror. The magic in this film is presented as a terrifying, grounded, deeply uncomfortable form of body horror. The action choreography reflects this grit. When dealing with threats like the giant silver soldiers, there is no hyper-stylized combat. The violence is heavy, desperate, and brutally real. This timeline chart illustrates how Nolan structures that chaos. Instead of a linear story, he weaves a fragmented narrative, jumping constantly between the 20-year oceanic journey and the political collapse happening back home. To hold that complex web together, he anchors all the timelines to a single physical object, a simple gift from Penelope, which acts as an emotional compass for the entire film. That compass works largely because of Matt Damon. His performance is drenched in trauma and exhaustion, perfectly capturing a man desperately seeking the version of himself he left behind years ago. The supporting cast amplifies that tension. Robert Pattinson plays his antagonist role with a gleeful, completely comfortable cruelty that makes you instantly despise him. And Tom Holland steps entirely out of his blockbuster comfort zone, delivering a surprisingly sharp, dramatic performance. The execution isn't flawless. For some viewers, the relentless pacing, the modern dialogue, and a few polarizing casting choices broke the historical immersion. Yet despite that friction, the psychological terror and intense casting choices successfully force you to endure the sheer, unbroken exhaustion of the journey right alongside the crew. When the 20-year journey finally reaches its resolution, the accumulated emotional weight is massive. In some screenings, that release has been intense enough to trigger spontaneous applause and tears from the audience. The impact of the finale stems from the 20 years of physical and psychological exhaustion the movie forces you to inhabit. You reach that final beach carrying the same salt and weariness as the protagonist. This grounded approach treats ancient myth as a gritty historical reality rather than a distant fairy tale. It suggests that these legends survived for millennia because of the recognizable human struggle at their center. Nolan's achievement here is a direct challenge to modern blockbusters. He demonstrates that a film can still transport an audience to an impossible world by using real locations and physical film rather than digital shortcuts. Ultimately, the Odyssey proves that high-stakes spectacle is most effective when it feels earned through physical labor and raw human emotion. It's a return to a style of filmmaking where every frame possesses a distinct, tangible weight.